Are you someone who struggles with the fear of being seen? If so, this episode's for you. I'll be diving into why that is and what you can do about it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Wholeness Podcast. I'm your host, Mandy, and I'm so happy you're here. This is the first, but I have to say a special shout out of thanks to all of you out there who have been following the Pave Your Paradise podcast that I started 5 years ago and have now rebranded as the Wholeness Podcast. Thank you for your support over the years. I truly am grateful. Now, before we get into today's episode, I'm giving you a little cheers here with a cup of tea. Please, at home, grab yours, or if you're on your way somewhere, maybe get a hot bevy. Get comfy because we're in for a treat. Today is all about the fear of being seen. Now, this is something that is a very near and dear topic to my heart. It's something that I have absolutely had to overcome. I'm getting like literally energy sensations as I say this, because even this right now, this podcast was not something that as a little girl me would have ever thought that I'd be able to do with my fear of being seen. So when we're talking about the fear of being seen, a lot of times this comes from the fear of deep down rejection. And the reason why this topic is something that a lot of us struggle with is because at some point in most of our lives, we've dealt with some sort of rejection. And a lot of times this comes from our childhoods, or it could either be from our parents or caretakers. It could be from something that happened at school. It could be from, a number of different scenarios that may have instilled this belief in us that's not safe for us to use our voice and to express ourselves. Now, a lot of times this fear in itself, it's primal. As humans, we want to feel accepted. We want to feel heard and seen. It's an innate thing that we all desire so deeply, to be able to just be ourselves, to express what we have to say, and to feel like those who are receiving our expression are receiving it with love, with care, with kindness. Unfortunately, what happens is, because of past situations where maybe someone didn't have the time, unconsciously was not able to have the space or the time to hear you, you subconsciously created this belief that it must mean that what I have to say maybe isn't important, it doesn't matter, I'm not significant. There's a lot of reasons why we create these beliefs, and a lot of times you have to think of it like this. At the time when those things happened, you were thinking with a child brain. When you're a child, the things that happen around you, you take so personally because that's just how your mind works. You don't have the navigation that you do as an adult to be able to decipher, oh, mommy or daddy or whoever was busy. It's not that they didn't want to hear me. They literally were in the middle of something. But because your young brain takes everything as your little world around you is all about you, you perceive that as my voice doesn't matter. How this has affected me, and a lot of you might relate to this, is even physically in our bodies, our nervous system is always wired to keep us safe. So physically, it has taken me years to even be able to fully use my vocal cords. My vocal cords, even to this day, being a TV host, an interviewer, a podcaster, someone who's done many public speeches, my voice, my vocal cord still clamps up physically when I'm speaking my authentic truth at times, because my body is so used to trying to keep me safe. That's how significant this fear can play out. The big reason why this is such an important topic that I wanted to start with was because I've had to overcome this, and I know it's a topic that a lot of people struggle with. When I talk to either coaching clients, when I talk to even friends, industry, acquaintances, public speaking in particular, or even speaking out, can affect many areas of our lives. It can hold us back in so many ways that we don't even put two and two together, that if we speak out, it would let us progress in so many ways. This can affect your interpersonal relationships. So it could be your intimate partner that you have trouble voicing yourself to. I know in my experience, even in relationships, it has taken so much awareness and practice of starting to feel more comfortable voicing how I feel, to be able to express certain things to people, because the fear that lived inside my subconscious didn't feel safe enough to be able to express how I'm truly feeling inside. And the sad part about that is, as I'm sure some of you who struggle with this know and have felt, is that when you're not feeling like you're being truly seen and heard for who you truly are, or that your needs aren't going to be met, it kind of almost is like this vicious cycle of you're too afraid to speak how you feel, so your needs don't get met. But the very thing that you don't want to happen, which is your needs not being met, is the very thing you're creating because you can't speak up. And, people pleasing tendencies, having people quote unquote kind of use you, those kind of things, or your needs not being met, those things are all byproducts of this innate fear. Now, there are a number of ways that you can work through this. For myself, one of the biggest things that I realized is that I had to ask myself at the end of the day, what am I gaining from not using my voice? And what am I losing by not using my voice? In my personal case, because of what I do for a living, this has very dramatically affected my personal opportunities. There have been times where I wasn't able to use my voice quite literally, and that has resulted in opportunities being lost. If I also didn't voice how I was feeling about a certain situation, that also resulted in certain opportunities not being able to fully develop themselves in my life. And then on the personal end, I've had situations where, unfortunately, again, it's that vicious cycle where I haven't been able to express myself, so I don't feel heard. Therefore, I feel like my needs aren't being met or addressed, but I can't be mad or blame the other person because I'm the one that's not expressing myself. So it's kind of like, again, I've had to really work through this very, very significantly in my life. And that's why I know so many of you tell me about things where you're not speaking up at work. You're not able to voice how you feel to a partner. You're not able to tell, your own friends how you feel, sometimes your own family. There's so many scenarios where using your voice is very important. The other part of this puzzle that I think is really important to discuss before we get into sort of ways you can work through this is I truly believe that each and every one of us has a very special, unique gift that we are meant to share with the world. Does that have to mean that you have to be on social media about it? No, it doesn't have to mean that. But to a certain degree, you're still going to, at the end of the day, have to deal with people and relationships. That's how our lives work. We're hardwired to connect with other people and create goodness together. If you don't have proper communication skills, if you can't express yourself, it's very difficult to do relationships, but it's also very difficult to do business or create like substantial, beautiful things to share with the world together. So this is something that all of us can benefit from, having the ability to voice how we feel and express it openly with people. The other part of this is that because you have a gift that you're meant to share with the world, if you deny the people, even whether it's, millions of people or even the people closest to you, if you deny your gift from being shared by virtue of you not voicing it or expressing it or sharing it out to those around you, you're denying not only your own self of that beautiful gift of being able to fully be that expressed version of you, which is the highest version of you, but you're also denying the world of your God-given gift. And to me, that's a real tragedy. That's really sad, because you are one of 8 billion people. 8 billion people, of all the people in the world, God chose you as one. The chances of you being born is like some astronomical number. I'm not even going to say, but it's like you're such a rare, beautiful gift to this planet. The fact that you have so much to share and you are not doing it because of this fear is it's a true tragedy to not only your own ability to progress in life, but again, you're just not able to offer that extra special something that only you can offer the world. All right, before we get into the next segment, I just want to give a loving shout out of thanks to today's video sponsor, Positivi-Teas. As you can see over here, I'm sipping the Energizer Bunny blend. It's actually my favorite. It's very good for energy and Focus. We have the other two blends. Sensational You is amazing for detox and cleansing. And then we have the Serenity, which is amazing for de-stressing and cultivating inner peace. Each blend is an emulsion of different herbs that help combat different ailments as described, and I'll put the link for those in the video description. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, it'll be in the video description. If you're listening to the podcast, it'll be in the show notes. Okay, let's dive back into this topic of the fear of being seen and heard. So the other thing that's very important to know when you're trying to overcome this fear is that, for myself anyways, and I'm sure for a lot of you as well, part of this puzzle is the piece around the way that we look. I am someone who has, as a lot of you who are followers, I've opened up about this before, and you guys have also told me your own stories about this, of this body dysmorphia, or feeling like you're not good enough or you're not attractive enough. And a lot of times it's the people that, focus on their attractiveness that have struggled with this kind of feeling of lack earlier in their life. And for myself, I remember times when I didn't feel confident in my own skin when I was especially a child or even in my teens. And it really, it was really sad, because a lot of times opportunities would come up, and because of that self-doubt and that self-worth that wasn't there, it would not allow me to voice how I feel. It would scare me away from certain opportunities. Putting yourself out there, whether it's at work, in front of people, maybe it's a creative outlet you have, and you're too or so caught up, I should say, in the way you look, that you're not allowing yourself to put yourself out there because you're afraid of being judged. And we know the root cause of the fear of being judged goes back to rejection again. So again, it's all the same kind of family of fears that end up being about rejection. And in our bodies, what's happening physiologically, because I love getting into the science as much as I do the spiritual, when we feel that anxiety, when we feel that anxiousness coming on before we have to give a speech, before we have to talk to a partner, before we have to hop on camera, maybe for a Zoom call or a YouTube or whatever the case may be, what happens in our bodies is we feel the same fear primally that we would have felt if we were a caveman or cavewoman back in the day, if a tiger was about to attack us. But instead of there being a tiger, the tiger today is our fear of others judging us. It's not actually a true fear. It's just our belief around what it's being perceived as what's actually the cause. It's not like we're going to get attacked. In our mind, though, in our body, the physiology is coming up like, oh my God, I'm about to get attacked. But there's no bear, there's no tiger, there's nothing like that to be seen. It's your fear of being rejected at the end of the day. So what are some ways that I myself tested and tried and true have been able to get over this? And what are some tips for you guys out there? One of the biggest ways that I have been able to do this is to rip that Band-Aid off and take action on the things that scare me the most. And I know you might be sitting there going, well, Mandy, that's great. You seem really confident. You seem this, that, or the other. It's easy for you to say. It was not easy for me. I don't think there's one person out there who has not struggled to a certain degree with the fear of being judged and rejected and being seen or heard in some way. Some of us, of course, I'm not going to argue with that. Some of us have a little bit more or less of that, 100%. But at the end of the day, all of us have, as humans, we're all human. We all have insecurities. We all have struggles. The point is, you need to be able to break through this in order to move ahead in your personal life and your professional life. If you truly want to get ahead, you have to be able to get over this. So some of the other ways you can do this to work through being able to get through some of these biggest kind of like face what is scaring you the most, little ways you can do this are, one of the best ways I find is to do it with people that you don't even know. Try doing this. Try, if you're going out for, say, a night or something, try saying hi to people you don't know. Or if you're walking down the street, perhaps say hi to strangers. It's not about their reaction at all. It's the fact that you're getting comfortable speaking up, using your voice, having people see you out in public. Another way you can do this is maybe wear something you wouldn't normally want to wear and that you've wanted to wear, but you've been too afraid, and that fear has been keeping you back. You can even try psychologically, this is a fun little exercise you can do. You can even try to embody an alter ego. Maybe you have like the cool, I don't know, I'll just make it, maybe it's the cool version Zach, or maybe it's like the, you know how Beyonce has Sasha Fierce, so maybe it's like Sarah Fierce. You create a little alter ego who's kind of the more confident, cool, sexy, like swagger type version of you, and you embody that and go out in public where you don't know anybody. You don't have to do this with anyone knowing this. Your family doesn't have to know, your friends don't have to know. If you happen to be going out, you know, if you're going to a bar or something like that, or you know, you're going to the gym or wherever you happen to be going, go out, maybe it's church, wherever you like to go to a place that you may or may not know people, doesn't matter. It's more about the fact that you're just getting comfortable in your own skin, doing something that is something you haven't done before. Because the more you start to use that muscle every little time, I promise you, your confidence level is going to go up. I've done this so many times. Like, you guys always know I talk about my hot girl walks. I'll never stop praising. Outdoor walks are literally one of life's greatest hacks. Part of why I love them is because it gives me an opportunity. I love, like, first off, love spending time on my own. It's very introspective. Need that every day for myself. But on these walks, a lot of times when I'm out of my kind of little Mandy zone, I will look up. There'll be somebody who I have no idea who this person is. Could be any city in the world that I'm traveling or whatever. And I'll just look up and I'll be like, hi, and I'll smile. Or I'll just like wave at like somebody who maybe, I don't really care. They could look grumpy as bleep, or they could be having a smile on their face too. I don't care. I just get comfortable with talking to strangers, saying hi to people, and you never know who you're going to meet. I've actually met some really cool people literally just by having the courage to speak up to a stranger. I've made some friends actually who I'm still in touch with to this day because I got comfortable just saying hi to a stranger. So that's another way that you can try to, you know, wear something different, talk to strangers, do things also in your personal or professional life that you've been putting off. I swear, oh my gosh, if there's one piece of advice, I mean, there's a lot of pieces of advice I would give to younger Mandy, but if there's definitely one I would say is do the hard stuff as soon as possible. Stop putting off the hard stuff, even the minuscule stuff. A lot of the times, it's those little tiny things that we're putting off, procrastinating. Like, we just keep putting that list off. And that is the key. On the other side of those little things we're trying to move through is what we're looking for. It's the freedom that we're seeking. It's getting over these fears. Every time you do something that scares you, it's going to give you a new, renowned sense of confidence. And that is going to help you when you go to wanting to be more heard or more seen. The other thing that I love about building this muscle up is when it comes to manifestation, another word for manifestation really is wholeness. It's partly why I decided to even name my podcast Wholeness, because when we feel whole inside, when we feel like we're the fully expressed version of ourselves and we're able to work through these fears that are keeping us stuck, like I don't think the opposite of depression is happiness. I think it's purpose. And the fear of being seen and heard is keeping us from feeling more purposeful in life. So those are some of my biggest tips for you guys. I would say, again, just a little recap. You know, you do need to make peace with the past of where this fear stemmed from. From there, I would say, you know, forgive those who you may think are, you know, some of the cause of why you might have this. From there, try to work on just being the most confident version of yourself by virtue of you taking risks by maybe what you wear, speaking up a little more. So those are ways that you can build up your confidence muscle, which are very important to just start getting comfortable and doing that in your day-to-day life. The other thing that's obviously very important is when you're in the moment or when you're just about to give that speech, that, you know, have that conversation, do a YouTube video. What are you going to do in those moments where you feel that cortisol start to come up in you, when you feel that anxiety come on? this is when you want to turn to nervous system regulation techniques. This is why I talk so much about these techniques, because they really can save us in those moments when we're struggling the most. So some of the ones that I love and that I think are very helpful in these anxiety-ridden situations, one of them is absolutely breath work. If you feel like you're, say, about to give a speech or you're about to say something and you're just feeling that anxiety come up for you, you can just slowly take some deep breaths, like, honestly, just doing that one time alone, I already feel like so much more relaxed. If you do that a number of times, if you need to step away, maybe ask to be, go to the bathroom or, a place where you can be by yourself, take a few moments to yourself, really ground yourself. Another thing is just grounding in general. You can kind of go through the five senses and just start to notice like the sights, the sounds, all the everything going on around you, and just kind of start to ground your energy down to where you are in the very moment, to have that present moment awareness. Another one that I love and I talk to you guys here and there about is EFT tapping. EFT tapping has honestly changed my life. It is a series of different taps on different meridian points on the body, different pressure points. It's kind of like acupuncture for your soul. And you can even tap about the fear of being seen, the fear of being heard, just, confidence, whatever the topic is, you can tap it, all the kind of fear out, and then instill new positive beliefs into you with EFT tapping. I would say even having a practice of meditation can be really beneficial to just get you in that natural flow state of feeling the fear, feeling the stress, feeling the cortisol and anxiety, and then letting it flow and not stop you. So those are some of the ways that you can combat it in the moment. The other thing I would say is, specifically for those of you who have to give presentations or even having a conversation, mirror work can be very beneficial if you want to practice having a conversation. I mean, I talk to myself all the time. I'm not even going to try to deny that. I have inner conversations all the time and outer conversations as well. I think, I don't know. I think from my experience, people who are very intelligent tend to have a lot of like conversations with themselves, talking over things. But that being said, I would say, yeah, you can rehearse different things. If you have a speech to give, a presentation, you can rehearse it in the mirror or even just to yourself out loud a couple of times or many times. The more you do something, the more familiar, the more comfortable you're going to feel about it. I've done this when I've had to give speeches. I cannot tell you guys, honestly, when I was little, I loved writing speeches, but oh my goodness gracious, heavens to Betsy, like when I had to give it, my mama, like she knows. My mom knows the amount of stress I would feel as a little girl because I was so, I don't like to affirm this, but I had such an issue with memorization. I would write like a world-class speech. My enthusiasm for whatever topic I decided to write about, like I love the process, but when it came to presenting it, it scared the bejeebus out of me. Like the night before, I swear, thank God my mom is the angel saint she is, because like I would need like a little water bottle. Like probably being a Virgo didn't help to my fellow Virgos out there, because we're such we're either former perfectionists, recovering perfectionists, or still are perfectionists. But oh my goodness, public speaking was such a big thing, and I have now, happily, I can say I have come from that, being that afraid to give a public presentation, to speaking over a crowd of over 10,000 people and doing that live. So if anyone can get over that, you guys can definitely do it as well. So those are a few tips on what you can do in the moment of this fear of being seen and heard. Lastly, I just really want from my heart to yours to say that it's very understandable, given what a lot of us have gone through in our former, younger years, to have these fears. It's absolutely normal. I think there's a study that has been done many times that said that public speaking or speaking out to others is one of the greatest fears of all people. So if you are someone who really struggles with this, my heart goes out to you, and I hope that these tips can help you to make more progress and to be able to share that beautiful gift that only you can share with the world. All right, my loves, I hope that I'm praying that something amazing happens for you today, even if it is just a shift from this episode together. I'm so happy. This is episode 1 of the Wholeness Podcast. We have tons in store. If you would like to follow me or the podcast on social media, it's at Mandy J. Ross or at Wholeness Podcast. Again, want to give a loving shout out of thanks to today's episode sponsor, Positivi-Tea. Make sure you go and check them out in the show or the video notes. And if you're on YouTube, you obviously, if you're still tuning in, you like the video. So please like, follow, share, and subscribe. Same with the podcast, whether you're tuning in on Apple or Spotify, please do subscribe. And it's free to leave a review. It really helps me out. And it's a little way to say thank you for producing these episodes. I think that's it, guys. I hope that you are shining with confidence after today's episode. And as always, I am wishing y'all a blessed and beautiful day out there.